Tell me something. You remember the moment when anime apparel became so mainstream that the once niche Hot Topic and Curiosity Store, Spencer's, and even GameStop became mostly anime stores? When did anime songs become so popular they stayed on top of charts and broke over 30 years records? Regardless of how you currently feel about My Hero Academia, you can't deny that, if not alone, it was instrumental on making small cons huge, big cons behemoths, making anime cool and nerdom acceptable. I remember the first time I ever saw My Hero Academia. It had been 10 years since I had watched anime on the regular basis. And how I stumbled upon it? For the love of Top-kun, I can't remember. But just like Top-kun, it struck me out of nowhere. All I remember was me looking for an easy yet cool character that wasn't the protagonist, to a con that I have just learned of the existence of a couple of days before. Liberty City Anime Con, a now defunct small con held in the heart of New York City. And then I saw the coolest yet easiest character, or so I thought. I thought that I would regret for the coming weeks that I spent trying to figure out Present Mike's wig, that wig that was the bane of my existence. In retrospective, I was way over my head, but somehow I managed to create something decent. Mind you, the last time I had done anything anime related was Ichigo for Halloween around 10 years before. And honestly, I'm glad there is no evidence at all of it, since it was atrocious. And that was the last thing I did otaku related for a while. Fast forward to the first day of Liberty City Anime Con. As soon as I walked through the doors of that Times Square Marriott, the amount of cosplayers that I saw was staggering. Basically, every attendee was a cosplayer. Though, unlike these days, no casual version or store-bought cosplays. Which, don't get me wrong, is not a bad thing. It only meant that we spent days or even weeks planning and suffering through the con crunch. A term that wasn't even a thing yet, which really spoke of the level of affection that everyone there had for the anime, and specifically, My Hero Academia. Because most importantly, almost everyone was a Hero Academia cosplayer. In retrospective, that is when I knew that anime was about to have a big boom. A single anime had taken over the cosplayer scene, or better said, it snowballed the massive growth of it. 2 months after that, a New York Comic Con saw this phenomenon repeat itself. A legion of My Hero Academia cosplayers took over the Comic Center Con, a con that had no anime-related panels, at least none that were held in the big stages of the Javits Center. And as far as I know, this was the first time a cosplay meetup at New York Comic Con was too big for New York Comic Con. And not to mention the small cons. Hero Academia cosplayers were so many to the point that it became a thing to say that all anime cons were My Hero Academia cons. And to understand this phenomenon, I feel we have to go back to 2007. A young Koei Hirokoshi, a fresh former assistant to Yasuki Tanaka, creator of Summertime Renders, lands his first job as a mangaka in Akamara Jump with his debut one-shot manga, Tenko, a one-shot about a man who was able to destroy things with only his touch. Very familiar. Tenko was promptly followed in 2008 by one-shot My Hero, not My Hero Academia, just My Hero, a manga about Jack Midoriya, a salaryman who sold hero items while dreaming being one himself, which had a moderate success, leading to a couple more one-shots and Barrage, his first attempt to serialization, with Barrage, a parent trap-like manga that debuted in Jump Next in May of 2012, which unfortunately was not the huge success that Jump Next expected, and due to low readership, it was cancelled on September of that same year. This was a low point for Hirokoshi's career, a low that almost made him quit, but thankfully, he didn't. In fact, he decided to pull up a Squaresoft, not Square Enix, the Squaresoft, try a Hail Mary and pour his hopes and work in a final project, a Final Fantasy if you will, and revisited My Hero. Thanks to his editors, he was influenced into making Midoriya a high schooler and making the changes that led to the manga as we know it. So, in July 7 of 2014, with 55 pages, My Hero Academia first chapter debuted in the one and only Shonen Jump. The reception as the My Hero Academia one-shot was overwhelming, and the immediate anime adaptation was all but inevitable. And so, in April the 3rd of 2016, barely 2 years after the manga debut, My Hero Academia's anime adaptation air its first episode on the Japanese network MBS. Obviously, the show was an instant hit, a fresh take on American heroes that coincidentally was becoming its own phenomenon thanks to Marvel Studios and their MCU, the perfect storm to grab everybody's attention. And then we have the opening song, The Day by Pona Graffiti, which definitely helped to put My Hero Academia in people's radars, as is the case of many other shows like Demon Slayer, Nier Automata, and the undisputed king of bad anime with banger openings, Domestic Girlfriend. The fresh and heartwarming story and the opening that demanded to be played over and over definitely helped creating fans in legions, but the diversity of characters made sure that everyone that turned in had someone to identify themselves with. If you are Sunshine in Rainbows, Ochako is your girl. If you are the I can fix him type, the bad boy Bakugo was an option that you could not ignore. Or if you're a rockstar, Jiro's guitar is what you're looking for. In short, Hirokoshi made sure that you were served, and oh he did. And how could you not with over 30 extremely unique characters in Season 1 alone? The design of every character, not you, practically begged to be cosplay. And so we all did. And that was one of Hirokoshi's best decisions because alone he made more characters, beautiful characters, than the last decade put together. And yeah, you can make an argument for Bleach or Kill la Kill, but Bleach had cool outfits in the artwork and openings, but the show designs only got interesting once we got to Wekumondo. And Kill la Kill was too early. The world was not ready, and we were not bold enough to cosplay those insanely awesome but extremely questionable designs. And then, April of 2017 saw the release of the second season with a roster increase thanks to the introduction of Class 1B and another surge of new cosplayers. By the beginning of 2018, the con scene was undeniably being dominated by My Hero Academia cosplayers. 2019 was the year that you couldn't lift a rock and find something Hero Academia related. The same year that Lisa's Gurenge served as the opening song to the current record-breaking phenomenon that is Demon Slayer. In the first half of what promised to be a great anime. I mean, it's Trigger Studios we're talking about here. Darling in the Franxx started airing with the banger Kiss of Death. Regardless of what anybody thinks about the show, no one can deny that Zero Two was instrumental in cosplay's road to mainstream because it was not only sexy, it was sexy with extra steps, a skin tie for the Sims, and a design that was just hard enough to present a challenge to all crafters. And Zero Two's straightforward, aggressive, and sensually charged attitude pushed cosplayers to be more open and comfortable in their own skin. That same year, we got the third season, and with that, the League of Villains, and specifically two characters that alone could have made any anime a must-watch, Dabi and Toga. The quintessential bad boy and girl. Never had an anime seen a shift like this. Everyone flocked to cosplay Toga, and with that, comic conventions saw themselves inundated with cosplayers looking for a con to cosplay at, the likes of San Diego Comic-Con, New York Comic-Con, and Katsucon. And then the Sims arrived. It is true that we can deny that horny salary man saw hot girls in sexy outfits dancing in Instagram and TikTok and got interested. And thankfully, they got interested in the thing they were dressed at. But now, let's go back a little bit to 2018. TikTok launched, and Instagram was becoming more than an artsy photos app. The attention to the anime content was instantaneous, again, especially for My Hero Academia content, because it is hard to do sexy photos and videos of Inuyasha's Hime or Naruto Sakura, and because every female character hero costume, except for Jiro, is deceivingly sexualized. 2018, we are 2 years away from the pandemic, and the days that we all will be looking for something to do 1 month into the lockdown. Crunchyroll saw an explosion of subscribers, and even though My Hero Academia's popularity was in decline, it opened the doors to shows like Chainsaw Man, Jujutsu Kaisen, and Demon Slayer to be brought without hesitation stateside and be consumed in masses during the lockdown days. And just like that, with a weather-changing Texas smash, My Hero Academia had just become what Dragon Ball was to the Big Three, the pillar that snowballed the current landscape of the cosplay scene and therefore the anime industry. The anime that created communities and alone pushed anime into what it is today, and cosplay a sheer way of self-expression. And as the final season comes to an end, all that is left to say is, thank you, My Hero Academia. Thank you, Koei Hirokoshi, for the ride of a lifetime. Thank you all for listening to my ramble all the way to the end. As you can see, My Hero Academia has a special place in my heart. Without it, I would not have the family I have today. Hopefully you feel the same, or at least understand how this anime has enabled the creation of communities where we all can find safety, friendship, and even some lifelong partners.
Something that makes me hold on and never let go.
Leave comments down below on how My Hero Academia or any other anime has touched your life. And follow me for more anime, and sometimes video game news.
Hero too, I am a hero too.